This is a 2018 Tormach 770M. So I'm going to take the time to make a pretty long video, and it's going to explain the pros and cons of this machine, because I want to make sure this gets into the hands of someone who knows exactly what they need, and this is it. When I got this machine, I guess I'm gonna say a lot of things about this machine that are gonna make me sound like I'm a big fan, and then a lot of things that make me sound like I'm a hater. I'm neither a fan nor a hater. I'm just gonna tell you exactly how I feel about this machine for me, and who it would be really good for and who it would be not so good for. So at first, I guess I should just explain what's included, like what I'm selling. So it's the whole CNC mill, obviously. And this is going to come with, it has both flood coolant and a mist system. I've only been using the flood, and that's what's, you can see hooked up back there is the actual pump for the flood. But there's also a mist system that will be included as well. You can choose for yourself which you prefer to use. I preferred the flood because it kept the machine cleaner on the inside. But the mist is more, flood coolant is a lot of work to maintain. And if you don't need it, like if you're only doing aluminum, it might not be worth it to have the flood, because it's just so much easier just to have the mist. The downside of the mist, though, is it does take a lot of air. So if you have a compressor like this one, you're not gonna be happy with that, because it really is air hungry. So something to think about. So other than the actual machine itself, I guess I'll walk around. Other than the machine itself, I'm going to cut away and then walk over to some of the other parts that are included in the sale. Okay, so basically what I'm including is, I'll go left to right here. So these are some extra collets for the spindle. Here's some, I chose not to keep a lot of the fasteners in the machine for the sheet metal around the enclosure, because I found myself going in and out a lot. And I would just lift the panels out and on and off and on and off and on all the time. So all the extras are in here. So I'm going to keep the height gauge because I actually like the height gauge, but this is the digital USB interface. So if you are going to touch off your tools with a height gauge, these with a height gauge, you would need to get your own height gauge from Tormach. But this interface that allows you to hook that height gauge directly to the control if you wish is here, because I don't need that. I never even used it. So there's actually 4 chucks included. There's the small, the 2 mediums, and then the big keyless one. It hurts my heart to include this, but I am going to include this. This is a Heimer, and if I had to do this all over again and I was buying a Tormach again, I would definitely do this Heimer over this thing. I do use this thing. This is the Digital Probe, also included in the sale. But it's just like, this is like one of the best pieces of equipment just in the world of metrology, period. Now it lets you set your offsets, you can measure things with it. It's not that much slower than this, because Tormachs can't do in-process probing. Like, you can't walk away and have it cut half of a part and then probe while you're not there and then have it continue cutting. The functions you're going to do with this are the same as you're going to do with this. You're just not going to manually jog the machine as much. So that's included. It's like, I don't know, $400 or $500. And I almost want to keep it, but I think that I'm not going to go on my current machine at my shop, my real shop, my office. I do all real probing with my Haas VF2. So I'm never going to use this again. So it's no point in keeping it. So here's all the tool holders. This is, what you see, what you get kind of thing. I have all the extra collets over here, various sizes. Some of these tool holders are in great shape. Some of them are, got some, wear and rust and stuff. That is what it is. So one of the best tools that there is on a Tormach is this one. This is your shear hog, and it's got a bunch of extra inserts I have that's included. In a second, I'm going to get into the pros and cons of the Tormach, but we'll come back to this, because if you have a Tormach, you pretty much have to have one of these for aluminum, because it really makes it viable to really take off some material. So this is the die jet. I actually have this is the short arbor. There's a long one in the machine that's also included, so it's a short and a long. And I don't think there's any inserts in here. I think it's just extra screws, so there's nothing else in there. The die jet, if you're going to do removing stainless steel or hard materials, the Tormach does not do that well. So this is the only way I've found to reliably remove large amounts of hard material. But it's still going to be slow. It's not like it's going to chew through it. It's not like the commercials where it's like cut stainless steel and titanium like butter. It does not do it like butter. It does it. You have to baby it, and you have to, using a die jet really makes it easier, because if you're using a traditional end mill, you're going to be really having to be standing there watching it to make sure it doesn't get out of control. This is the fly cutter, also an excellent tool for the Tormach. I found on both aluminum, which is this insert, and steel, which is that one. It worked well. There's only one insert of each extra that I have, but that's what's included. All right, I pulled some more parts out that are also included in the sale. This is a rapid turn system. It's basically dirty and dusty, and the reason for that is I used it one time. I wasn't really thrilled with it, and it sat underneath my this workbench down here for the rest of the time. Once again, I'm going to save all the pros and cons to the very end. I'm just going to tell you what's in this sale first, right? So here's the motor and the actual unit itself. This mounts on the table, and then you put that chuck in it, and it becomes basically, this goes around the spindle and holds these tools up here, these tool holders, and then it becomes a lathe. Here are the collets for, you can see almost all except 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are still in the plastic, or maybe 6. I don't know if I counted that one. Yeah, so it's like a $3,000 or $4,000 add-on to get this, and I got it, and it wasn't for me. And here's the tailstock if you want to set it up back here. So I think that's just about everything. I'm pretty much everything that is part of the machine assembly itself, except for the height gauge, I think is part of this sale. So give me a second, and let me we're going to get into like who this is for, and who will love this machine and who will hate it. All right, so let me just reset all this. There it goes. Okay, so here's the jog handle down here. X, Y. All right, so here's the deal. When I bought this machine, this is actually my second Tormach, and it's not because I bought 2 of them. When I first bought the Tormach, same model, what my error was is that my use for these things was way too industrial. Immediately when I got the machine on the ground, I had 3 or 4 inch blocks of 316 stainless steel and titanium that needed to be cut, and I was actually producing these for a legitimate industrial customer. And at the time, this was like my side hobby. It was like a side hustle. But it very quickly grew into something bigger than that, and now I have my own shop facility, and I have vertical machining center, all that stuff now. But like, this was like in my house, in my basement. This was kind of like my CNC beginning, and it was way too industrial. So here's the truth about these: if your tolerance wise, it's going to hold plus or minus 5. You might struggle with that a little bit on the Z sometimes, because of the natural problems with just holding things in the vise and the Z anyway. I found that I did have to be careful with the Z, but generally speaking, it would hold plus or minus 5,000, no problem in all directions. Really, the Z problem was more of a vise and work holding issue than anything else. But still, it's there. When you're doing it on a big vertical machining center, that problem, that tolerance band is tighter, so you don't see that problem as much, and everything is more rigid. This, if you're like if you are prototyping stuff and you are cutting through aluminum and plastic, this is if you're not doing production, this would be a fantastic machine. You know, it for that purpose, I think that it's really what it's designed to do. And I just kind of underbought. It wasn't the machine's fault per se. It was my fault because I didn't know what I needed. So basically what happened, the reason this is my second machine is because the first day I got it, I threw some stainless steel in there and I put some speeds and feeds from some very common sources online who claimed to be having success, and I couldn't make the thing work. And basically there was getting a lot of chatter trying to machine stainless steel. And I went back and forth with Tormach. I called them, and that's one of the pros of this machine is that the Tormach customer service is actually very good. I had a very good experience with them. They were very helpful. They really tried to solve my problems. They're not going to come out to your shop like if you have a machining center and help you like next day or anything. They're going to do it all over the phone, but still they're going to call and try to work you through the problem. And so I had nothing bad to say about them. They did a great job, and I kept on telling them I can't make this thing cut stainless. I can't make it cut stainless. And they sent me a new machine to replace it. They actually replaced this machine. And I sent the old one back. And so to their credit, I mean, that's not many companies would do that. So that's something that's to be said for, you know, Tormach. I got the second machine. I put some stainless steel in there and it was just screaming, same problem. So it wasn't the machine, it was either me or just the machine couldn't do it. And what I found was that the root cause of the problem was actually that air makes this open and close. There's a power drawbar that pushes this open, pushes the collet open via air. You have to be pushing it open enough to be able to let the ATC take tools in and out, right? If you over tighten your drawbar in here to where it just barely drops the tool, then this becomes very touchy, because if this is really tight, that means there's not much play for these tools to change out with it, and so you could have crash of the ATC. So the root cause was actually that my collets were too loose to cut stainless, and they were that loose because that's the looseness I needed to make the ATC work correctly. And we went through alignments. Anyway, once I figured that out, I found that there was a point where I could perfectly tighten this, and this would still work, and I was able to cut stainless steel. Now, let me just say though, really I only had good success cutting stainless steel and titanium with end mills that were 1/4 inch or less. I know there's videos online of people doing a better job, and I'm sure they're better machinists than me who can work that out. But that's just my honest experience. I used the die jet, which I showed you earlier, to remove most of the material, and then I would just finish with the end mills for the stainless steel and titanium. So if you're going to cut a lot of stainless steel and titanium, and you're going to be doing big parts, or you're going to be doing production, again, not the machine for you. If you are going to slap this in like an R&D space or in your basement, and you're going to be like designing parts, and you're going to make all onesie twosies to try to test your concepts, and if you need to do stuff and make stuff on the like in a pinch, this is a good machine for you. And I think that's kind of like my honest feedback on it. Ever since I moved out of here and I got my shop, I used this for about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. As soon as I moved out of my shop and got my large machining center, this has pretty much sat. So I'll do one last thing. I'll cut the scene for a second, and I'll do some just showing it changing tools and touching off with the probes and stuff like that to show you that it works and everything. All right, so we'll do a tool change. So right now it's got tool 13 in the spindle, and let's say we'll put in tool, 22. So boom, 22, enter. It'll ask you if you want to use the ATC to change tools. I'm gonna click yes, but I'm gonna point it this way. There it is. The last thing I was going to show you is probing. So I put the probe in, and basically it attaches to a wire that goes around the side of the machine and plugs it in the back. But this is actually kind of nice. although it's not as good as in-process probing. Like for what it is, it's pretty good. Like you go to probe, here's the probe screen. So I'm gonna do like this little corner here, just to show you how. I don't know if I'll be able to reach that. Hold on. Pause. Okay, here's a chunk of scrap. So we'll try this again. So we're gonna do just a typical outer corner type of thing. And I have to say, like, I have a Haas VF2. This probing system is way better. And, you know, my Haas is, I don't know, 3 times more expensive at least. So a lot to be said for this. So anyway, we're going to do this one up here, the outside corner. So I'm going to bring it over. Oh, first thing you always want to do is just touch the probe tip. Make sure you get a light on the side, and that light is registering over here on the control, so you're not going to blast through it. All right, so I'll bring it over. To like, I don't know, right about there. I think that'll work. We'll see. All right, and we'll say, let's see, find corner set work origin. All right, so let's do it. I'm gonna push this right here. Oh, my bad, hold on. So I forgot, you gotta put in tool 99. There we go. There we go. Now we'll give it a shot here. There you go.